Top 10 Smartest People Who Are Poor. Being smart is a gifted talent which only a few possess. One could be living under any circumstances, but if they are smart enough, they can change the whole world by new ideas and inventions. However, as marvelous as the word invention sounds, most of the smartest people who are great inventors couldn't make a fortune out of it. Welcome to Viblens. Today we bring you the top 10 smartest people who are poor. If you consider yourself smart and think your intelligence could make you rich, I may have to warn you that you're wrong. Smartness has nothing to do whether you become filthy rich or die broke. Wealth depends a lot on your circumstances and how good you are at handling money. In today's video, we're going to meet 10 people who had the spark of genius but weren't able to translate it into a fat wallet. Number 1. Richard Terere. Richard Terere comes from a poor Maasai family who lives in the wilderness of the Kenya savannah, on the edge of a national park. Since the age of 9, he used to look after his father's cattle. Many of the cattle used to get eaten by the wild lions. To overcome this problem, Terere came up with an amazing idea. One day he discovered that lions are afraid of moving lights, so he got a bunch of lights and an old car battery and that thing from a motor car that makes the blinkers blink. He set up a circuit that made lights flash and it worked. Now it's used all across Kenya to scare various predators. Number 2. Trevor Bayliss. Trevor Graham Bayliss, CBE, was an English inventor best known for the wind-up radio. The radio, instead of relying on batteries or external electronic source, is powered by the user winding a crank. Recently, before his death in 2018, he said he can no longer afford to live in his home in Twickenham, London, because the company he went into business with were able to tweak his design and he lost control over the product and profits. Despite having an intelligent mind and making a marvelous invention, he was still poor. Number 3. Daisuke Inoue. Daisuke Inoue is a Japanese inventor who used to make money from playing drums in a backing band which let bargoers take the mic and have a go at singing. One time when he couldn't make a gig, he put the backing music on tape instead. This gave him a brilliant idea and he went on to make 11 karaoke machines which allowed them to sing without any live backup. For this invention, he was named one of the most influential Asians of the century by Times magazine. However, he didn't patent his invention and, therefore, didn't make a single penny out of it. Number 4. Charles Goodyear. Charles Goodyear was an American self-taught chemist who developed vulcanized rubber. The hardware business he ran with his father went bankrupt and he often found himself arrested for debt. In 1839, a happy accident occurred. He mixed rubber with sulfur and white lead and dropped some on the kitchen stove. Instead of melting, it hardened. It took them several more years to find the right combination of rubber, solvent, sulfur, white lead and heat that could be turned into an industrial process. However, he sent samples to Thomas Hancock without filing for a patent in Britain, which has a strict first-to-file rule for granting patents. Hancock proceeded to steal the invention. He died in poverty and his family had to pay off his debts. Number 5. Eli Whitney. Eli Whitney Jr. was an American inventor widely known for inventing the cotton gin, one of the key inventions of the Industrial Revolution that shaped the economy of the antebellum South. By the time Whitney received a patent on the improved version of the gin in March 1794, gins were already widely in use, easily constructed by any competent carpenter. Whitney and a partner set up a factory in New Haven, Connecticut, but the factory soon burned down and, while rebuilt, was unable to compete with nearly ubiquitous home-built gins. Despite making a revolutionary invention, he did not grow rich out of it. Number 6. Edwin H. Armstrong. Edwin Howard Armstrong was an American electrical engineer and inventor who developed the FM radio and the super heterodyne receiver system. He spent the rest of his life fighting the Federal Communications Commission for spectrum rights and RCA's David Sarnoff, who first ignored FM, then tried to buy out Armstrong and finally installed FM receivers in its TV sets without a license. Broken despondent, Armstrong jumped from the window of his 13th floor New York City apartment. Number 7. Marie Louise Killick. Marie Louise Killick was an English audio engineer who patented the truncated tip sapphire stylus in 1945 for playing gramophone records. She couldn't license it and, despite years of litigation, never made any money. In 1958, she won a lawsuit against Pi, but went bankrupt the following year. Due to this reason, she too comes in the list of smartest minds who were poor. Number 8. Catherine Hettinger. Catherine Hettinger is a US inventor famous for inventing the toy called fidget spinner. The toy has been promoted as helping people who have trouble focusing, or those who may need to fidget to relieve nervous energy, anxiety, or psychological stress. Consisting of a ball bearing around which a piece of plastic or metal rotates, they burst into the public consciousness like thunder in 2017. That would normally be good news for the inventor, but Catherine Hettinger, who had a patent on the design, was forced to let it lapse in 2005 because she couldn't afford the $400 it cost to renew. Therefore, another smart and brilliant mind who couldn't grow rich despite an amazing invention. Number 9. John Walker. The idea of scraping a little stick to make fire seems like it's been around forever, but they were actually invented in 1824 by a British chemist named John Walker. Walker was unusual among his peers for his willingness to experiment with various man-made substances, and when he came up with a sulfur paste that sparked when it was scraped on a rough surface, it wasn't long before he was selling the world's first friction matches. Walker refused to patent his invention because he was concerned with the safety of the flame. This cost him millions of dollars worth of profit from the sales, thus he didn't end up rich either. Number 10. Douglas Engelbart. And the last person which made today's video of the top 10 smartest people who were poor is Douglas Engelbart. He is the man who invented the computer mouse. He came up with a device that would let computer users select a coordinate on the screen. It involved a pair of wheels at the bottom of a wooden block that would record movement and translate it to the machine. Shortly after, a Xerox scientist took Engelbart's concept and modified it to use a ball instead, which was enough to file for a separate patent and cut him out of compensation entirely. He passed away aged 88 and didn't become rich through his invention, simply because he created the mouse before there was much use for it. Although all of these people granted the world with great inventions, most of which completely changed our lifestyles, but in return we couldn't pay them off as they deserved to be. We hope you loved this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more amazing content like this.